Dear Donald Trump, here is my open letter to you right now. Alright, with all the things that I could be saying to you, I'm not gonna talk about how you were a president and you did some good stuff. You did some bad stuff. Oh man, don't get me started on that. I'm not here to talk about that. Oh man, don't get me started on all the stuff that I would talk about in an open letter to you. Sure, Mr. Man with a lot of money. Kind of like Elon Musk. Let's not talk about why I went back to America in 2017. I was teaching English, yes, in Vietnam. And one of the reasons I came back after being in Vietnam for 5 years was you. That's right. And it's not necessarily you. It's more like the spirit of the MAGA thing, make America great again, and all that kind of stuff. Like, don't just talk about it, do it. Because sometimes I would talk about the things that I cared about, like country first kind of thing. Like, you gotta care about your country. It doesn't matter what country you're in. You should take care of your country, take care of family and local communities. First, it's not like you just forget about other people, but life requires some priorities within the individual. There should be some freedom so that you can do it if you want and not have to. Some people are like, well, you gotta be forced into it. But I'm not here to talk about that. So instead, this is what I want to say. I only want to say one thing in my open letter to you right now. One thing. That's right, one thing. I'm not gonna talk about all those other things I mentioned already. Instead, I only want to say one thing, and that is, why do you have to make truth so goddamn hard to get on, man? Oh man, that's all I wanted to say. You could have just made it a website, man. What are you doing, Donnie? My father's name is Donald Duck. No, I knew a guy from Africa, and Donald Camise. He was pretty cool, and he taught me a thing or two. We were working at Camp Karate back in the day, but that is neither here nor there. We're not going to talk about Missing Possible book that he wrote. Donald's a good name. A lot of people have that name, including my dad and including other people. Did I make an emphasis on dad? Speaking of emphasis, the people on The View, they made an emphasis on Twitter. They're like, whoa, you gotta be stupid to waste like billions of dollars on Twitter. And why is Donald Trump not gonna be like getting back on? Or maybe he will. Who knows what he's gonna do? Sometimes he just fakes people out. But it's possible that his account will be reinstated, and then it will just be sitting there empty. And then Donald Trump will have to be like, okay, I'm gonna get back onto it, or I'm gonna send some people in to deactivate it, take it all down. One of those two things, one of those three things. Either nothing happens, or he gets back on, or he deletes it after it's reinstated. But speaking of Truth Social, it's an app mostly for the last time I checked, it was for iPhones, Apple iPhones, and they said it would be available for Android phones. And then what about a desktop version? It's not rocket science. I was making a website, I was making a social media thing called Mia Omnia around 2010. I'm no expert either. I'm just saying that I was working on it and I was doing it. And a lot of people have done it. And you don't have to do it to understand that it's not rocket science to try to make a website. And if you got some experts who can like make a website, you can do it. Like if you're on a phone, you can actually get onto a website on your phone with this magical device, with this magical program, a magical app on your phone called a web browser. Woo! So you don't have to make an app on your phone to have a website that people can access on the phone. All you gotta do is just have a website. You have a website, and somebody has a web browser, they can get onto it, and you could have a phone version for it. This is my open letter. Dear Donald Trump, why do you have to be a big fat baby?